Hello again everyone, welcome to the next part of our little tutorial. Today we are going to talk about buildings, building things, units, wonders, etc. etc. So as we saw last time, I started out with Scout. I will progress the game a little bit today, and if something else comes up I will point it out as well. So as we saw last time, every turn your production gets added to this meter, and once we reach 25 points of total production, the unit will be completed. Now, important to know about this is that the generation of things here is done in order. So food will be added first, and that means that if you are put on production focus and you manually lock down this tile and your city would grow to size 2, it would automatically assign the citizen to this tile as it has the most production. That's what this thing means. And that means that the production points and the gold will be added for that turn. So that's something important to keep in mind, and that is why most of the advanced players or people that just know it always use production focus so that they can exploit this little trick. It's not very important later in the game, but early on 1 point of production might shave off a turn, as you can see here. If you use 6 production a turn, that will end up at 24. 1 more point of production will mean that it's done a turn early, so that could be significant. I will talk about the ruins immediately. That's a fine moment to do that. So, as I said last time, early exploration, very important. You will find these ruins, and while the scout is building, we will do some exploration. Ruins give you a random bonus. It can be either a free technology, free gold, any of a number of bonuses. For example, here we get 20 free culture, which means we can go for a social policy really early in the game. But for now we will skip out on that and just finish the scout just to see what that gives. Once we finish the scout, we are going to go over all the build options and see what happens. As you can see, the unit found an upgrade. It became a spearman, which means that it's a lot stronger in combat right now. And there is our scout. Now that we have finished the construction of the scout, we have had a surplus of 5 production, and that is carried over. So if you click on the monument, which we might build next, you will see that it has already been 6 production has already been added or will be added. So that's or 5. But you'll see that next turn. However, the more important thing to go over today is what can we build. So this is determined entirely by the tech tree. Researching new techs means that you unlock new buildings, and each of these new buildings has an application that you should be very much aware of, and you should basically always only build the building that you will be actually using. Now, buildings come in a few varieties. You have the basic buildings like a granary, a shrine, let me check a few others, a coliseum, a market. These are buildings that you can always build in any city. and they just provide a static bonus usually. As you can see here, the granary adds food, so your city will grow faster. The library adds a little bit of science. The Colosseum adds a bit of happiness. And you will find that throughout the game, these kinds of buildings just provide similar bonuses. For example, late in the game you have the medical lab, which means that after you grow, you will retain a bit of food, which is quite good. The next variety is the situational or conditional building, like the stoneworks. These buildings are usually a bit stronger, but they require that you have a certain resource available, such as this one, or in the case of a mint, that you have a certain luxury. In the case of a watermill, you must be built next to a river, so you can't always build them, but when you can build them, they are usually reasonably powerful. So those are the basic buildings. They just provide static bonuses, and which one to build is situational, but in the end you want to build most of them, not necessarily all, but most, in most of your cities. You, for example, can't really do anything wrong by building a granary somewhere or by building a library somewhere. That's all fine. Then there are things that are a bit more powerful, and we call them wonders. Wonders also come in two varieties. You have the national wonder, like for example here the National College, and every civilization can build one of them. They always have the requirement that you must have built a library in all your cities. That means all the cities that you have either founded or are under your direct control. If you conquer a city, you get the option of either puppeting it or annexing it, and the puppeted cities do not count towards the requirements for the National College, for example. So if you have 3 cities, each city has a library, then you can build this building in one of your cities, and it will significantly increase your science output. Other national wonders include, for example, the East India Company, the Ironworks, which adds production, Oxford, which gives you a free technology, and the Hermitage, which gives you extra culture. There are various others spread throughout the game, but you do not need to worry that someone else will steal them for you. If the requirement is having certain buildings in all your cities, you know it's a national wonder and you will always be able to build one of them. The other kind of wonder is one that you race for against the AI, like the Great Library, the Temple of Artemis here. And these wonders are just first come, first serve. You get the full effect when you build them, and others get nothing. If you are building one and someone else gets it, you get a little bit of gold to compensate you for your efforts, but that's just about it. Not all these wonders are equal in strength. For example, the Great Library provides you with a free library, a free technology, and some culture potential, which means that it's one of the best ones. The Oracle provides you with a free social policy, but there are others that are very, very situational, such as, for example, the Mausoleum, which can be strong, but it's never overwhelming. The Statue of Zeus, which gives you combat strength against cities, obviously only useful if you intend to conquer things. And there are many others that have questionable bonuses that are very, very situational. So if you miss out on wonders, then you shouldn't be troubled too much by it, as a lot of them are not necessarily required. There are many wonders in the game now with Brave New World. All of them have their uses, some more so than others. There are a few that you will always want, and a few others that you basically never want. Most of them are replaceable, so if you don't get them, there are ways that you can negate their bonus. For example, the pyramids. They add improvement speed for tiles and give you free workers. Now that's really nice, but in the time that you can build the pyramids, you can just build 2 workers and have spare time left. So while having them is certainly not bad, it's not necessarily a requirement. And this is one of the things that you will most likely have problems with early on in the game, as most beginning players focus far too much on building wonders. As you up the difficulty, your ability to get many wonders will decrease. The AI gets production bonuses and they really go for them. And getting off your wonder addiction is something that's sometimes very hard to do. Now, just to give you an example of which the really important wonders are, we have the Great Library, which is an early wonder. In lower difficulty games you will almost always want to build it, as a free tech is great. The Oracle, very strong free social policy, and those are 2 of my favorite ones. Petra, one of the strongest wonders in the game, makes deserts fertile and give you an extra trade route, so this can change a desert city into a paradise, which is very, very good. Chichen Itza, happiness and extra length of golden ages. Not that amazing when you build it, but it gets stronger as you progress further into the game. So this is one of the strongest wonders. Machu Picchu gives you a lot of extra gold, as does the Colossus. So these are all very strong wonders that are early in the game. Then we move on to the Renaissance era. And here we have Notre Dame, or Notre Dame to be more accurate. This is an extremely powerful wonder. 10 global happiness, what that is we will get into later. But 10 happiness, that's just amazing. Unfortunately, it's a tech that's not easy to get early on, but if you get this wonder, you are usually set for a very strong position. There is also Alhambra, which gives you some bonus to your units, not too important, but it can be really convenient. The Forbidden Palace, one of the strongest wonders in the game in general, especially for an expansive empire. If you wish to wage war, then having the Forbidden Palace will make your life so much easier, it's not even funny. And then as you move up, you will find some other wonders. The wonders in the bottom half of the tree here are usually not that important. Stronger defensive buildings, stronger units in your own territory, that's all okay, but you will never need it. You have some culture wonders here. The Porcelain Tower, which is going to help you especially in peaceful science games. So these wonders are all very situational and you do not necessarily need them all the time. It will be fairly obvious when you get more experience which wonders you need, but as you are playing on lower difficulty, there is no shame in trying to build them all. It will usually work out, but as you up the difficulty, that will no longer be possible. Then as we move up in the game, we get to wonders that require a certain ideology, like the Statue of Liberty requires freedom, Prora requires autocracy, and the Kremlin requires order. We will talk more about the ideologies in the next video. And the number of wonders is clearly thinned around this area. There is not much left to build here. There are some culture wonders in top of the tree, like Christ the Redeemer or Cristo Redentor. And the Sydney Opera House, along with the CN Tower. These are reasonably powerful wonders, although they do not determine the game at that point. They are certainly far less important than having an early wonder, because when you are around here, you are usually either won or lost already. The only exception to that is here the Hubble Space Telescope, which can be used to finish your science games a bit faster. So that's all about wonders. Wonders will always be quite expensive to build. You can see here the Great Library, 185 production points. If we look at our city right now, we have 6, so that will take us 30 turns. That's quite an investment. And that doesn't really get much better later on. If you look at the Notre Dame, 400 production, and here we have 700-ish or 1200 even. So it's always a big investment to build these, and if you lose them out to an AI, then you're going to be a bit behind. So you should probably learn to play without them, even if you could build them, just to learn more about the game and how to play without them. I think that's some solid advice. If you really want to wonder, you can always try generating a great person. More about great persons much later in this series. But there is one specific person which is called a great engineer, which you can get through building workshops, for example. And this great engineer allows you to create a set number of production immediately, which allows you to build a wonder in one turn. So they are very rare, but if you get one, you can select a wonder of your choice, sacrifice a great engineer, and immediately get it. So that's a pretty good trick, if it's a trick at all. Did we need to talk about anything else? I think not. As you can see, investing in buildings early on is one of the very important things. The buildings, like for example this granary, will serve as a free tile that does not require a citizen to work. See, it provides 2 food, so it's as if your city was 1 pop higher without actually needing that pop. And the same is true for a workshop, for example. The workshop here adds 2 production and 10% production, so that can be quite an increase, and that will make building things much faster. And all these little investments you do early on in the game will pay off later when you hit the Renaissance, more or less. You will want your city to have grown to a reasonable size population with all of the utility buildings built in it, so that it becomes a strong production city with many people to work on science and the good tiles. So that is all for this section. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them.